And we all love to eat at restaurants, right? But when the bill comes, are you a fan of tipping? Well, according to a new survey, more than 40% of Americans say the answer is no. Surprisingly, folks would be more inclined to pay more for a meal if they didn't have to leave a tip for the waiter. Oh, you guys are so stingy. A new poll published by Zagat found that on average, Americans tip around 18%, but a further poll says 43% are in favor of abolishing tipping altogether, even if it means hiking up menu prices. You'd think Americans would be okay tipping, being it though we dine out on average 5 times a week. Now, I know when we were discussing this, we had a lot of questions about what to tip, you know, when it comes to water at the bar or takeout. I have all those answers for you.
Okay.
Okay, so say you're at the bar, you order a water, you think you need a tip
That'll
or not?
never happen.
Well, you should tip. Apparently, you're supposed to tip at least $1 because it takes just as much time to fill up that glass with water that it would to fill the glass up with Merlot or Chardonnay or a Long Island iced tea.
People on our Facebook page were saying that you sitting in that seat at the bar is taking, you know, the seat of someone who would tip and would be paying for drinks.
Right, and
so
probably spend a lot more money,
Yeah, so you're supposed to give $1 for that.
That's exactly right. And when it comes to takeout food, would you tip on when you're coming in the restaurant?
I thought no.
I always
thought
do.
no on that because a server, I'm not being served. I'm not holding up a seat. I'm literally like either in my car or standing around.
But usually that waiter is taking his time out of the day to put your meal together. So that is kind of his day.
What if it's like one of those just like a Chinese food place or I don't want to give business names, but you know those places where you just go in and you get your food and then you leave?
Well, according to TripAdvisor, it's kind of half and half. You don't have an obligation to do this at all. If they have a tip jar, then put something in it, but you can leave. If it's an exceptional service, you can leave 15 to 20%. And if it's something like curb delivery or something that's more of a complicated order, then you should.
See, I always have the question of whether I'm tipping on the bill or whether I'm tipping on the service or both.
Well,
because you tip according to the bill, the price of the bill,
at least
but then
15%.
the service, right? So I mean, are you doing both?
I thought it was
or are you just
18%.
doing
So according to
20?
TripAdvisor, at least 15%. If it's 10% or less, that means the service was bad altogether.
Yeah, I'm usually 20%, but I usually know most of the folks that I'm going to these places. I'm a regular there. But here's a good question for you. Let's say we're all out to dinner, okay, and we get wine. You get a $100 bottle of wine. If you tip on that $100 bottle of wine, what if you get a $10 bottle of wine? It's still the waiter or waitress bringing it over, opening it, and pouring it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's where Chesley's point comes into play.
Is it the service, the bill, both? You know.
You're supposed to tip on the total of the bill.
Of the bill. According to TripAdvisor.
And the other question is, does it include the tax?
I don't do the tax.
Oh, you don't do the tax.
No,
See, I include the tax.
So now we're getting,
I don't tip on tax.
Well, we actually have a poll on the 11 Alive Facebook page, and to hear more about this, we actually have Eliza Lucas at the bridge monitoring what people are saying. Eliza, what are people saying about this?
Well, 74% of people on 11 Alive Facebook, they say they'd prefer to tip rather than pay more. We want to get to some of those comments. It's been an active conversation, as you guys mentioned. Now, Lewis says if we pay more to avoid tipping, then the service might suffer. Where will be the incentive to provide good service? A tip is a reward for good service. Given the choice between tipping and paying more, Cameron has to say both. Tips are a gratuity. They should not be a substitute for wages. Servers should be paid a living wage, and I should retain the option to tip if I so choose. We've got the conversation going. Come and join us on 11 Alive Facebook. Sending it back to you guys.
Thank you, Liza. I would say it's more of an incentive if you're a frequent customer. I think sometimes servers already have their mind made up on what type of tipper you're going to be.
Well, when I see Sheba Russell come in the restaurant, I'm thinking,
you know it's getting peeled off.
You see Sheba Russell with a ponytail and glasses on and jeans. You're like, oh, this girl's not going to tip, right? All